Hi, I'm Jenny.
And I'm Erin.
And we are Revisions Mentor.
And we are back today to share some information with you about how to store your staging inventory to minimize damage and take the best care of it as possible so it always looks fresh and clean and new for your home staging projects.
When you subscribe to our channel, you get all of our insider tips and ideas and tricks for not only how to start a home staging business, but how to run the operations of your home staging business as well.
And how to succeed, because we strongly believe in encouraging women and supporting women entrepreneurs in the staging and design industry and in industries all across the board. So if there are topics that you want us to cover, leave us a comment below, click on the link and send us an email. We would love to hear from you, and we are happy to do the research and give you the information that you need so that you can be successful in your home staging business. So hit subscribe and click on the bell and you'll receive notifications when we upload more videos.
We do that twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually early afternoon.
That's right, Eastern Standard Time around 2:30 p.m. So stay tuned. We have so much information to share with you. So when it comes to storing your staging inventory, we ran into some pretty interesting pitfalls over the years, and we wanted to share the pros and cons of our experiences with you. So in the beginning, we were storing a lot of our staging inventory in our garages, which seems to make sense because we wanted to keep the overhead low. But that came with its own set of challenges.
Including husbands who weren't delighted.
Not thrilled.
Not thrilled about that.
You literally couldn't walk into our garages for a good year and a half.
Yeah.
Yes, things have changed.
Yeah, things have definitely changed, but yes. Kind of focusing on what those specific struggles were, I think for us specifically, it was the climate changes. We live in a really humid environment here in southeastern North Carolina.
Yeah.
Humidity can wreak havoc on upholstery.
It can. We were lucky. We didn't have anything get ruined in that way, but that's something you want to keep in mind. So there's definitely value in when you're looking for your storage space, you want to make sure that it is climate controlled if you live in an environment like ours. So when we were storing a lot of furniture in our personal homes, that created some challenges other than the fact that our spouses were not thrilled that we were taking up the entire garage. But one of the big issues is the canopy. There were so many trees in our neighborhoods, and we bring in these big moving trucks, and you don't want to damage the truck, and you don't want to damage the tree. So that was a bit of a concern for us.
That was. Not to mention the fact that we had two separate storage facilities, essentially. So we were doing two separate pickups, which meant trying to figure out what inventory was at Erin's garage, what inventory was at my garage, and then coordinating those pieces. It just made everything twice as hard because we were trying to source from two different places.
And though our houses were only about 5 miles from one another, it was a lot of work. We would spend basically the entire morning of the day before our installation running around, picking up pieces, trying to keep mental inventory, keeping mental notes where these pieces are, and running back and forth to get, all of these little pieces together. So eventually we started renting a couple of climate controlled spaces at a storage unit downtown. And that also brought its own set of challenges.
It did. It was great because we finally had all of our inventory in one central location, so we could keep track of it really easily and see everything that we had to work with and do just the one pickup. But we learned really quickly that it matters where your storage space is within the facility.
Yes.
This particular facility had a beautiful loading dock, but the closest available units were quite a bit on the interior of the building. So it required a lot of negotiating with rolling carts and trying to get furnishings through big doors. It would have been so much easier on us to have had a storage facility that had an exterior access door, like an exterior sliding garage door. We could have backed our truck up, loaded from there, instead of having to go inside the physical building and navigate the hallways and the corners. That was a huge pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's one of the pros of having our garages. It's, you can back the truck almost up completely to the garage door. You load your furniture on, then you take off. That's easier, it's faster, but it's not climate controlled. And then using the storage facilities, storage units, what we ended up realizing we had 2 storage units and we were using our 2 garages, and then that kind of turned into a huge ordeal. So we felt like things were more centralized, but we wwere still had a couple of extra pieces at this garage or at our own personal storage units, and it just felt like a wild goose hunt. So we finally rented a storage space that was climate controlled, has a space with a loading dock that you can back up to, and it's a commercial storage space, and that just made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And one primary reason was when we started ordering our wholesale furniture. That created some really important challenges.
It did. You have to, when you're ordering wholesale furniture, you have to have it delivered to a commercial location. You can't have it delivered to a residence. So not only do you have to have somebody physically available at the commercial space to receive, I mean, that in itself was a tricky bit. And that brings up a really good point. We did not have a space that had on-site management 24 hours a day to do that receiving. And so we toyed around with another option, and we actually did use another option, which was a moving company that actually functions as a holding house for
Furnishings
specifically. So when our wholesale stuff was coming in, we had it delivered to a commercial moving company that does this as a business, and we paid them to 1, receive our inventory, and then 2, hold it until we were ready to move it out for the project we were working on.
Yes, and so that was an added expense. So when we got our commercial storage space, we eliminated that middleman. Now we can receive our own deliveries because it is a commercial space. We can have the delivery truck back directly up to our space, and they can unload the furnishings there. So that does save us quite a bit of expense, and it saves us quite a bit of running.
Yeah, definitely saves us a lot of that racing around that we did a lot of in the early days.
Yes.
To talk a little bit more about the location of the warehouse that we chose, we really gave some consideration to the counties that we were working in and worked really hard to find a warehouse facility that was easily accessible to all of them. We kind of picked something that was right off the bypass in Wilmington and allowed us to get to all the different parts of our town and then the neighboring communities really easily in and out.
Yeah, without having to drive so much through city streets.
Whoa, speaking of city streets.
Oh, yes, this was fun. So our storage unit originally was in the historic district of downtown Wilmington, which was perfectly centralized location. It was really easy to load up, get in and out. That was great. However, these wholesale companies that only use the drop freight delivery services, sometimes they have these 60-foot or 50-foot trucks, and they can't drive on cobblestone streets. So this was kind of a difficult lesson for us to learn. We had to figure out how to receive deliveries in an area that wasn't appropriate for the vehicles. So that's something you want to keep in mind.
Along those lines, when we're talking about delivering to the historic district, that reminds me of that one time that we had that big delivery come on a freight truck to our holding facility, and the delivery driver was by himself. It was just him, and we had these huge sofas, these huge boxes with chairs in them, and he wasn't physically capable of unloading the freight from the truck.
Yeah.
Had we not both been there that day to help, that our inventory wouldn't have come off the truck.
Yes.
So I think that's another important reason to consider what your capabilities are when you're thinking about where your wholesale is going to be delivered. If you don't have the flexibility in your schedule or the manpower to intervene when the delivery is coming, and you have to be super flexible, right? Because they call you day of and maybe give you a 30-minute warning. If you don't have that kind of flexibility and that manpower at your disposal, you need to consider using a facility that has on-site receiving and storing capacity.
Absolutely. And just one small note, something that we have learned, there were a couple of times that our mover didn't show up and we got stuck moving our own furniture, and we decided to make sure that all of the furnishings that we order from that point forward, especially the couches, because those are our heaviest pieces, we make sure that they weigh under 150 pounds so that Jenny and I can lift them ourselves. So
because we do.
We do all the time.
And we've had to sometimes when we didn't choose to. So.
Yeah. So that's just one thing you want to keep in mind, when you're ordering your furniture wholesale, and we'll go into a whole segment about that process later. But look at the weight of the package and look at the weight that it is when it arrives, as well as the weight of the couch in and of itself, because the packing materials obviously weigh a little bit more. And make sure it's something that you can manage on your own if you get in a bind. If you are physically capable of doing that, just keep that in mind. And if not, just make sure that your movers are punctual and timely.
Yeah. Those are important.
Yeah.
So there's some thoughts that we wanted to share with you about how to store your staging inventory. Do you have questions for us? What do you want to know? What have we not covered for you today? Ask us your questions. Click on the link below. We've got some free information for you, but let us know what you think and really, truly ask us those questions, because we will answer you. We have information to share. We want to know what kind of struggles you are encountering in your own home staging business and in your community, and we want to help you problem solve those.
Thanks for watching.